Claire Morrison had always been known for speaking her mind. As a marketing coordinator at Whitmore Industries, she was creative, energetic, and sometimes a bit too honest for her own good. The next morning, Claire arrived at Ryan's office at exactly 7:25. She had barely slept, spending most of the night rehearsing what she would say and how she would act. Professional, calm, competent. Those were the words she repeated to herself like a mantra. Ryan was already at his desk when she knocked. He looked up from his computer, and for a brief moment, his expression softened before returning to its usual controlled neutrality. "Good morning, Miss Morrison. Coffee is on the table. We have a lot to cover today." Claire noticed he had ordered her favorite coffee, caramel latte with extra foam. She had mentioned it once in a team meeting months ago. The fact that he remembered made her heart skip a beat. Though she tried to ignore it, the morning flew by in a whirlwind of presentations, strategy sessions, and client calls. Ryan was demanding but never cruel. He pushed her to think harder, to be more creative, to see problems from angles she had never considered. And surprisingly, Claire found herself enjoying the challenge. When she made a good point, she caught glimpses of approval in his eyes. Though he rarely voiced it directly, an unexpected visitor by the end of the week. Claire had fallen into a rhythm with Ryan. She learned to anticipate his questions, to have data ready before he asked for it, and to match his intense work pace. But on Friday afternoon, everything shifted when Tom Hughes walked into the marketing department. Tom was the new intern from the university program. He was 24, charming, with sandy blonde hair and an easy smile that made everyone warm up to him instantly. When he was introduced to the team, his eyes landed on Claire and stayed there. "You must be Claire Morrison," Tom said, extending his hand with genuine enthusiasm. "I have heard amazing things about your campaign work. The Riverside project was brilliant." Claire shook his hand, flattered by the compliment. "Thank you. That project was a team effort, though. Maybe you could tell me more about it over lunch sometime." Tom's smile was hopeful and friendly. "I would love to learn from someone with your experience." Before Claire could respond, she felt a presence behind her. Ryan had emerged from his office, his expression carefully blank but his jaw tight. "Miss Morrison has lunch meetings scheduled all next week. Perhaps another time." Tom nodded politely, but Claire noticed the way Ryan's voice had gone cold. After Tom walked away, Ryan turned to her. "We need to review the San Francisco presentation. My office. Now." The business trip the following week, Claire found herself on a plane to San Francisco, sitting in first class next to Ryan. The meeting with a potential major client was crucial, and Ryan had spent the entire flight reviewing details with her. But there were moments when their hands accidentally touched while reaching for the same document, or when their eyes met and held for just a second too long. The hotel in San Francisco was luxurious. Claire had her own room on the same floor as Ryan, and they spent the evening preparing in the hotel restaurant. Over dinner, Ryan seemed different, more relaxed. He asked her about her background, her dreams, what had made her want to work in marketing. "I like telling stories," Claire explained, playing with her wine glass. "Marketing is about understanding what people need and showing them how your product fits into their lives. It is about connection." Ryan watched her with an intensity that made her skin tingle. "You are very good at understanding people. You see things others miss. Is that why you are keeping me so close?" The question came out before Claire could stop herself. As punishment for seeing too much? Ryan leaned back in his chair, a hint of a smile on his lips. "Maybe I just enjoy the company of someone who is not afraid to be honest with me. Everyone else treats me like I am made of glass or like I am some kind of corporate robot. You treat me like I am human." Jealousy rears its head. The presentation the next day went perfectly. The client was impressed, and by the time they returned to Seattle, Ryan seemed genuinely pleased. But when they arrived back at the office on Wednesday, Tom Hughes was waiting in the lobby with coffee and a bright smile.
"Hey, Claire."
"Welcome back. I got you a caramel latte. I remembered you mentioned it was your favorite." Tom handed her the cup, his eyes warm and friendly. Claire accepted it with a smile, touched by the gesture. "That is really sweet of you, Tom. Thank you." She did not notice the way Ryan's expression darkened behind her, or how his hands clenched into fists at his sides. For the rest of the day, Ryan was particularly difficult. He criticized her work on minor details, questioned her decisions, and seemed determined to keep her in his office away from the rest of the team. "Is something wrong?" Claire finally asked after he rejected her third draft of a simple email. "Nothing is wrong. I simply expect excellence." His tone was clipped and cold, but Claire was not fooled. She had spent enough time with him to recognize when something was bothering him. And she had a pretty good idea what it was, playing with fire over the next few days. Claire noticed Tom's continued attention. He brought her coffee every morning, asked for her advice on projects, and found excuses to stop by her desk. And she noticed something else too. Every time Tom appeared, Ryan would suddenly need her for an urgent meeting or a critical review. One afternoon, Tom asked Claire to grab lunch with him in the company cafeteria. Claire agreed, partly because she was hungry and partly because she wanted to test a theory. Sure enough, 5 minutes after they sat down, Ryan appeared with his own lunch tray. "Mind if I join you?" He did not wait for an answer before sitting down directly across from Claire, his eyes never leaving Tom's face. The lunch was uncomfortable. Ryan asked Tom pointed questions about his work, his goals, his qualifications. Tom answered politely, but Claire could see he was confused by the CEO's sudden interest in a junior intern. After Tom excused himself, Claire leaned across the table. "What are you doing?" "Having lunch. Is that not allowed?" Ryan's expression was innocent, but his eyes betrayed him. "You're being territorial." Claire kept her voice low but firm. "And it is obvious. I've no idea what you were talking about." Ryan stood up, grabbing his tray. "We have a 4 o'clock meeting. Do not be late." The breaking point that Friday, Tom asked Claire out to dinner. It was casual and friendly, but Claire said yes, loud enough for Ryan to hear as he passed by in the hallway. She watched his back stiffen, saw his steps slow, but he kept walking without turning around. The weekend felt strange. Claire found herself thinking about Ryan constantly. The way he looked at her when he thought she was not paying attention. The way his voice softened when they were alone. The way he seemed to care about her opinions and ideas. And yes, the way he clearly hated seeing her with Tom, but Ryan had made no move to indicate he felt anything beyond professional interest. He had not asked her out. He had not said anything personal. And Claire was tired of guessing. Monday morning, she arrived at work with a new resolve. She would stop playing games. She would focus on her job and let Tom's friendly attention be what it was. A nice distraction from her complicated feelings for her boss. But when she walked into the office, there was a massive bouquet of white roses on her desk. The card was simple and unsigned, but the handwriting was elegant and unmistakable. "Dinner tonight? It's just us? We need to talk." Claire's heart raced as she looked up toward Ryan's office. Through the glass walls, she could see him watching her. His expression vulnerable for the first time since she had met him. This was it. The moment everything would change, she picked up her phone and texted a single word. Yes. Claire spent the entire day trying to focus on work, but her mind kept drifting to the evening ahead. Ryan had been unusually quiet, communicating only through brief emails and text messages. At 5:30, he sent her an address to a restaurant across town and told her to meet him there at 7. She went home to change, choosing a simple navy dress that was elegant but not too formal. Her hands trembled slightly as she applied lipstick, and she had to remind herself to breathe. This was just dinner. Just a conversation. But deep down, she knew it was so much more than that. The restaurant was intimate and quiet, tucked away on a side street with soft lighting and private booths. Ryan was already there when she arrived, wearing dark jeans and a crisp white shirt with the sleeves rolled up. It was the most casual she had ever seen him, and he looked somehow more handsome without the armor of his business suits. He stood when she approached, and for a moment they just looked at each other. The tension between them was electric, charged with weeks of unspoken feelings and careful restraint. "You look beautiful," Ryan said softly, pulling out her chair. "Thank you." Claire sat down, her heart pounding. "This place is lovely." They ordered wine and food, but neither of them seemed particularly interested in eating. Ryan kept starting sentences and then stopping, running his hand through his hair in a gesture that betrayed his nervousness. Finally, Claire could not take it anymore. "Ryan, what is this about? Why are we here?" He looked at her with those piercing blue eyes, and she saw something raw and vulnerable in them. "Because I cannot keep pretending anymore, Claire. I cannot watch you with Tom Hughes and act like it does not tear me apart. I cannot spend every day with you and pretend I am not completely captivated by everything you do and say." Claire's breath caught in her throat. "What are you saying?" The truth unveiled. Ryan leaned forward, his voice intense but gentle. "I am saying that when you sent that voice message calling me hot and arrogant, you were right. I am arrogant. I am demanding and difficult, and I push people too hard. But you were also wrong about something. You thought I kept you close as punishment? The truth is, I kept you close because I could not stand the thought of you being anywhere else." "Ryan." Claire's voice came out as barely a whisper. "From the moment I heard that message, something shifted in me. Instead of being angry, I was fascinated. Here was someone who saw me clearly, both the good and the bad, and was not afraid to say it. And then, when I started working with you every day, I discovered you were not just beautiful and honest. You were brilliant and creative and funny and kind. You made me laugh when I thought I had forgotten how. You challenged me to be better." He reached across the table and took her hand, his touch sending electricity through her entire body. "But I am your boss. I run the company. And I knew that anything between us would be complicated and potentially problematic, so I tried to keep my distance. I tried to be professional. And then Tom showed up, and I watched him look at you the way I wanted to look at you, bring you coffee the way I wanted to bring you coffee, make you smile the way I desperately wanted to make you smile. And I realized I was a coward." Claire felt tears prickling at the corners of her eyes. "You are not a coward. I am. Because I have been so afraid of what people would think, so worried about policies and appearances, that I almost lost my chance with you. I kept telling myself it was inappropriate, that I was your boss, and it would not be right. But the truth is, I am falling in love with you, Claire Morrison. Actually, I think I already have fallen. Completely and hopelessly." Her heart speaks. Claire squeezed his hand, her own emotions overwhelming her. "You think you were the only one struggling? Ryan, I have spent weeks trying to convince myself that what I felt for you was just attraction or admiration or some kind of workplace crush. I went out with Tom because I thought maybe if I focused on someone else, someone uncomplicated and available, these feelings would go away." She took a shaky breath, but they did not go away. They got stronger. "Every time you walked into a room, my heart would race. Every time our hands touched accidentally, I felt it everywhere. Every time you smiled at me, even those tiny little smiles you try to hide, I wanted to see more. I wanted to know everything about you. The real you, not just the CEO everyone else sees." Ryan stood up and moved to her side of the booth, sliding in next to her. He cupped her face gently with both hands, his thumbs brushing away the single tear that had escaped down her cheek. "I do not care about complications anymore. I do not care what people think. I just care about you. Tell me you feel the same. Tell me I have not imagined this connection between us. You have not imagined anything?" Claire's voice was steady now. "Sure, I am falling in love with you too. I think I have been since that very first day when you did not fire me, but instead decided to keep me close. I just did not understand why until now." Ryan kissed her then, soft and gentle at first, then deeper as weeks of restrained passion finally broke free. When they pulled apart, both were breathless and smiling. Navigating new waters the next few weeks were not easy. Ryan insisted on handling things properly. He spoke with the board of directors and human resources, documenting their relationship officially and ensuring there were no conflicts of interest. Claire was transferred to a different department with a promotion, reporting to someone else while still working on major projects with Ryan. Some colleagues were supportive, others whispered and speculated. But Claire and Ryan faced it together, their relationship growing stronger with each challenge. They learned to balance their professional and personal lives, to support each other without crossing boundaries at work, and to build something real and lasting. Ryan opened up in ways Claire had never imagined. He told her about his childhood, about building his company from nothing, about the loneliness of always having to be strong and in control. Claire shared her own dreams and fears, her past heartbreaks, and hopes for the future. They became not just lovers, but true partners and best friends. 6 months later, Claire stood on the balcony of Ryan's apartment, looking out over the Seattle skyline as the sun set in brilliant oranges and pinks. She heard him come up behind her, felt his arms wrap around her waist, and his chin rest on her shoulder. "What are you thinking about?" Ryan asked softly. "It's about how one accidental voice message changed my entire life." Claire turned in his arms to face him. "About how the worst moment of embarrassment turned into the best thing that ever happened to me." Ryan smiled, that full, genuine smile he now showed freely when they were alone. "Do you want to know a secret?" "Always. That message was not actually an accident for me. Finding you was exactly what I needed, even if I did not know it at the time. You called me hot and arrogant, and you were right. But you made me want to be better. You made me want to be the man worthy of your honesty, your laughter, your love." Claire kissed him softly. "You already are that man. You always were. You just needed someone to see it." As they stood there wrapped in each other's arms, both knew their journey was just beginning. There would be more challenges ahead, more obstacles to overcome. But they would face them together. Two people who had found something rare and precious in the most unexpected way. Sometimes, the biggest risks lead to the greatest rewards. Sometimes saying what you really feel, even accidentally, can change everything. And sometimes the person you think is impossible to reach is actually just waiting for someone brave enough to try. Claire had called her boss hot and arrogant. His reaction had shocked everyone. But the real shock was discovering that underneath the polished exterior was a man capable of deep love, vulnerable honesty, and true partnership. And that was a story neither of them would ever forget. The end.